Well, this is very exciting, being here in the Bladtcast all by myself. If only, if only I had some friends. If only there was somebody else here that wasn't just me. And, oh my goodness, look at this, right on time. Travis Bickle here with an amazing mustache.
Calling it punk rock aristocrat is what I'm going for. This little,
Which is interesting because in the neighborhood Jeff grew up in, I think they would just call it queer.
Oh, you're not supposed to say it like that anymore.
No.
You get in trouble.
It didn't say it with the hard R. Didn't you know that objectionable words, if you don't use the hard R, it's okay.
I forgot. Yep.
And Jeff DeRay, is that Aurora Borealis localized entirely in your kitchen?
It is. Correct.
I love it. I'm excited.
Jeff, how high are you currently?
I'm not high. I have a huge, terrible migraine.
Oh, okay. I get migraines and being high frequently mixed up for myself too. Yeah.
They can often coincide, but no.
Well, first and foremost, it's 11 a.m. somewhere.
Oh, where'd you get a fucking Yingling?
Now, this is the second episode where I've done this, and you said that. The last time you'd had a little bit to drink.
Just like tonight, yeah.
We need to talk about that. Now, I don't know if you know, William, but my mom.
I do remember making a really bad joke. Yeah.
Yeah, but not as bad as you thought it was.
Okay, good.
We played it up, but my mom watches the Bladtcast now that it's on YouTube.
Okay.
And she basically right after called and said, "I don't like when Will drinks too much." So.
How was I really that bad, or was it just your mom's disapproval?
I mean, I think that private life drinking too much is one thing. I think that she felt like, you weren't your as Melania Trump would tell us all to be best.
Yeah.
You did not be best.
I was not. No, I was not. Now I'm less drunk and I look like this, so I don't know what she's gonna think. But
when did that happen? The
hair?
Yeah.
Last night. I got really bored. Wasn't drunk again. And I was watching a television show and I got really restless. And I shaved my head. Because I've always wanted to do this, actually. When I first shaved it all the way, it was like we did a mohawk phase, but it was really long. So I was like, I want to do a mohawk while we're in quarantine because I don't have to really match headshots because nobody's filming anything. So I get to play with a bunch of looks, and then I just snap some cell phone pictures and gussy them up as best I can, and then I upload them to acting sites so I could potentially go out for different parts.
Jeff, when you look at that, and by that I mean Will Sterling, and for people listening to the audio version, you're really doing yourself a tremendous disservice. You need to at least find the thumbnail will represent it. Just a little free association, Jeff. You look at that picture of Will Sterling and you think what?
Hold on 1 second. I got to get the correct word.
Hi, Katie.
Got a cameo by Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Christian says hi. Christian and Jeff. We're doing a podcast.
Hey, guys.
She says hi.
All right.
Keith Flint.
Keith Flint?
Yes, of Prodigy. That's what I think of.
Oh, so you think he's a fire starter?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Will Sterling would indeed smack his bitch up right now?
The reason I think Keith Flint is because he had the reverse of that. And if you really wanted to stand out and be cool, you do a reverse mohawk, not a regular mohawk.
What's a reverse mohawk?
Where you just shave the middle.
Yeah.
Oh. No, that doesn't interest me at all.
I don't know that I'm really well qualified to talk about anybody's hairstyle now that I'm sporting the Oscar Wilde, but it's
the Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, this is this can be considered two things. This is either the Nike swoosh, or if I were Dennis Miller, I would say the Ocean Spread corporate logo. But either way, you could definitely use this as a half pipe.
You could cut your hair with scissors. at the house?
No. I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna basically do what you did, I think, with a razor, except I'm gonna do it live.
Well,
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
order clippers because what
No,
kind of razor are you talking about?
No, I have electric. I have electric razor. Look,
Okay.
I have an electric razor for my manscaping.
Yeah, but I mean, like for your head. Like I shave my head with a fucking beard trimmer razor, and it's like it's not fun.
Yeah, I don't want it
You
to be
have
fun. In fact, I
clippers,
hope
it's
I kind
easier.
of I don't know, Jeff, would you tune into a video like that if you 100% felt like I was going to bleed?
Shaving your head?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah. If I do it, I'm going to do it on a video.
No, I wouldn't watch that video. I'm just gonna be honest. It
I
doesn't
would.
sound that interesting to me.
But speaking of video, I do have to say that I don't know what's going on with Jeff's head, but it looks like
Everybody else was being
a
cool with
samurai
their hair.
top
So.
knot. Oh, I see what's happening.
I actually thought you had a top knot.
Yeah, it says very samurai.
No, I did it like in the middle of this. I was sporting the Beatles look before.
So, gentlemen, it's Wednesday, May 20th, 2020.
Day 7,000 of quarantine.
Well, I was going to say it's legitimately day 65, possibly 66, depends on when you really started.
Yeah.
I don't know about either of you. I'm over it. I'm just over it. I mean, not over, being careful and being clean, but the not being outside part, like to me, wearing a mask is like, it's fine. I think it actually helps.
Sure.
I scare less children if I wear a mask, including my own. But, it was interesting at first. We were all in it together, and now it's just like, really? Is it helping? And then it's like, if there's no cure for like 18 months, then I guess we're just gonna have to roll the dice a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong.
You might have to get sick, but
well, yeah. I don't want look. I don't want to get anybody seriously sick.
No, I mean, like I'm not saying like let's just go back to the way things were, but like there is an element to which I was reading an article from some microbiologist where it's like something like 0.03% of cases were contracted from people just being outside. You know what I mean? Like if you want to go outside and take a walk, it's actually not that dangerous. But it's like idiots who feel a little sick and get together with their friends, even in moderately close proximity, or people who spend too much time in enclosed spaces or lollygag around the grocery store. Like if you go for a walk, like you're probably going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's specific cases of people who were holding gatherings sort of like that first weekend, like 65 or whatever some odd days ago. Yeah. And there was the person there who was like, yeah, I don't feel that good. I probably have it. Then it turned out they had it and they got like people sick.
Everybody's sick, yeah.
And I don't know about you guys. Have you guys known anybody that's had it?
Like actually, friends of friends. Yeah, not like a super close friend.
What about you, Jeffrey?
No, I mean, I don't really talk to people, so I don't know. So
just us.
So if Natasha, MJ, or either of us didn't get it, then that wasn't going to be anybody. Yep. Now, if like somebody, if somebody who'd been on the Bladtcast, God forbid Jason Blair got it, you'd be like, okay, I've talked to him, I know him, yeah, but he's fine, by the way.
Luckily, with his mowing his lawn.
I've talked about it with other people on the Bladtcast, but my actual lifelong best friend was the best man in my wedding. I was best man
I saw your
in
Facebook post.
Yeah, my friend John, he caught it, and he caught it. It was bad, his wife got it 2 days later. She was fine. But
it's weird how some people get it better and some people
he had
don't.
the 3 weeks. He didn't have to go to the hospital, which is honestly, not joking around, it's probably why he's still alive, because he didn't have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And it was just bad, and he said it took forever. I knew somebody else that I wasn't as close with, that I was a page with at NBC. She got it, and it was the same thing. It was you start to get better, and then it gets way worse, and the whole thing is 3 to 4 weeks. And it was the cough just didn't go away. He's fine now. Oddly enough, he got better from coronavirus, and then he had to move to Brooklyn. He moved from Harlem to Brooklyn. And I'm I don't know which one I envy less. I was gonna say least, and then it came out least. I'm like, I don't want to make too light of it, but man, I hate the idea of moving. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, I thought you had something against Brooklyn.
I mean, no sleep till I get there. I mean, that's for sure.
Well, he's not doing the Harlem Shake anymore, so that's a bummer.
That's true. He Harlem shook his way out to Flatbush. It's
But-
not where he moved to, but it's a funny name for a town. So Jeff, we've talked a lot about how this whole thing fits into your lifestyle because you don't like people, you don't like to interact. Are you okay if you're talking about maybe moving, but in general, if the next 5 years were kind of like the same as this, would you be like, yeah, it's all right? Or would it be infuriating because when you were outside walking your dog, people would be so stupid that you'd probably end up in jail for, pummeling people senseless?
Well, two things. One, we're definitely moving early July, so later.
The fuck?
Wait, where are you going? What?
Oh, yeah, you were drunk. Yeah, you were drunk when he talked about this.
Oh my God.
Like Natasha's renting an RV that we're going to drive across country and move.
I'm going to miss, I'm really going to miss you. I have to get my comic books back from you. No.
Yes. I have some Star Trek ones for you too, Will.
Oh, the Green Lantern,
the Star Trek.
Green Lantern ones. I forgot about those.
I've kept them in a safe place.
I trust you.
So how do you feel about, well, let's get to the move in a second. So let's say you get to Massachusetts and, you have like a scenic 5th floor walk up overlooking Bach Toyota. Do you hope that you still aren't expected to go out into the world much, or what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably one of the things that I'm realizing is like losing the minimal interaction that I had makes me worse. So I think it's one of those things where I just gotta get better and start wanting to be around people and having that be a part of the process. So it's like, the funny part of it would be like, yeah, fuck everyone. Like, this is great. But it's also like, I think the extent to which it's like the isolation has compounded the already self-imposed isolation I was living for a long time. It's made all those like little things where I could, when it got too bad, go like handle it. Yeah. Now I can't. So I just feel like today was a really bad day for me. Like I was really depressed and angry over nothing all day. And I'm just like, I feel like I have more days like this that I feel just like lost, and it sucks. So I don't want to do it anymore either.
Do you think that the change of scenery, and how close are you going to be to family?
Probably very close, but it depends. We don't know exactly where we're going to be. Likely in the very beginning, we'll be around them because we don't have a place to stay yet, but we have places where we could stay, kind of thing. And it's
yeah, he doesn't watch. How soon before you call Ken?
I don't know.
Hey, when you go, I should send you with 2 DVDs he let me borrow when I first started working on the Dennis Miller show 10 years ago. I have them in my car. I meant to mail them to him.
I'm actually sure he does want them, yeah.
He probably has a little list. There was like Billy Madison where he like has that list of like people to kill. And like I should call him and apologize, and then he'll check my name off and then put the lipstick on. It'll be really great.
So
this is purely a joke, but I could imagine in his mind he has this scheme where he's like, I don't have to work because I've got this compounding interest on the DVDs that he owes me.
He's gonna charge me.
I'm set once I get those $1,000.
Just wait till I get them. Yeah.
My really, really old library fee. Yeah.
So you're going to move in the beginning of July?
Probably, yeah.
4th of July week.
That's when our lease is up.
Dang.
I might never see you again.
Don't say that. We'll have a socially distant picnic.
Well, so here's the problem.
I'll wave on my way out of town. Bye.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I might need to do a curbside pickup of my comic books.
Yeah.
Is there? Are we
bag them up for
curbside
14
hand jobs?
days.
Wait, hang on, Jeff. You first. What were you
I said
saying?
I'll bag them up for 14 days so they'll be quarantined, ready to go to your home.
What were you going to say, Will?
It's not as good.
Ah.
I said, are we doing curbside hand jobs? I don't know why I missed that.
Wait a minute. No, that is great.
Just swing on by, just a little quickie, you know.
So here's
I'll wear a glove.
the interesting turn of events is that I'll be I'm not selling anything. I'm not moving for real, but I'll be spending most of the month of June, if not a little bit more, down in Orange County at my wife's parents' house because with the aforementioned, I've had enough.
Yes.
But it's a couple of things. One, our germ family that we spend 3 days a week with. The dad in that family, he's a teacher at the New York Film Academy. Oddly enough, the New York Film Academy right here in Burbank.
Yep.
That's
No sleep, clearly.
Three quarters of a beer in. Look out. So just don't ask me about the Jews. I might say something like what Will said last time.
I don't even know what I said, but it was not funny and not.
Yeah. But anyway,
what's with those hats, man? Like,
I just remember that I got a reaction out of Jeff for saying that, and like it's very rare that like I'm the person who makes that joke, and yeah.
Of course, I didn't feel any type of way about it. I just had to revel in my moment of pretend outrage.
Oh, it was great.
You laughed. I remember your laugh was like, "Oh my God, Will said something mildly offensive."
Yeah.
Very rare that I get that reaction.
Nice.
Well, Will, you need to get ready for our little scene that we're going to do.
Yeah, you got to walk me through it and tell me.
I've got something that ties into that. But so basically, our kind of shared childcare, holding up two families at their house a few days a week isn't going to work anymore because it would have broken down where it was me with all four kids, like 3 hours a day, 2 days a week. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, so I think it's time for you to call the nanny again because look, no one thinks that's a good idea. It's like, if I got to spend, 3 hours one day ever, I could do that. But as a regular thing, it's just not going to work. Plus, Felix and Lucy haven't seen their grandparents in a while. And when they do go back to school, whenever that is, well, that's like a whole new batch of germs. So we kind of want to see them before they go back to school, and then we'll have to wait another stretch. And just the idea of going to Orange County, in all honesty, it's very appealing. One, they have a pool. You've been to their house.
Yeah.
You've both been to their house.
Yeah, party. Well, Felix's egg party, not Lucy's.
Not Lucy's, but
the one Lucy's egg party, but not Felix's.
Yeah, you guys trade off. You come to
picked me up at my apartment for Felix's and was like, all right. And I was like, you have the address? He's like, yeah, we're just going to Christian's, right? And I was like, no, it's like down in Orange County. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah, why would I ask you for a ride? Are you cracking the second one?
Yeah, now I'm mad that I didn't get 3, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I was like, why would I ask you? Because he was living in Sherman Oaks at the time. I was like, why would I ask you to come to Park La Brea to take me back to the Valley? He was like, oh, shit. So that ended up being an interesting day.
I remember, but he was there, and I remember Jeff and Natasha came to the other one, so it's all right.
Yeah.
You guys repped. It's cool.
So
I don't know, and there was like a split second where Heather and I were like, oh, are we giving up? Are we quitting on LA? And I'm like, well, kind of, yeah, and that's the point. LA will still be around. It's fine. Burbank's going to survive. # Burbank strong.
Burbank strong.
I don't know.
I'll check on your house if you need me to. I'll drink the year-old beers that you keep in your fridge that you don't like.
These are for parties. Well, they're beers that I like very much.
I feel like every time I drink beers at your house, you're like, there's a bunch of beers in there that like I don't really drink, so like you can have those, and they've like been in there for a questionable amount of time.
That might be me.
Both of us.
Both of you guys.
I do always have, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, these Yinglings are.
Wait, where did you get the Yinglings?
At a Wegmans in New Jersey. Like. And
you put them in your luggage and took them back?
Yeah. See, we had this conversation when you were drunk, but that's all right.
Okay.
I
I gotta go back. Actually, I can't watch this. I can't go back and watch.
Yeah, I know you. It's all right. It's hard enough for you to watch any Bladtcast, but especially ones where you're drunk.
I watched
every
one
time-
today.
I think we should all watch the Oscars one where Will showed up halfway through it like shit faced. I think we should watch that together.
Listen, that was a bad time in my life. I don't need to relive that.
All right.
Every time you show the Yingling, I think of Obi-Wan saying, "Not the Yinglings."
Not the Yinglings. So what do you guys think on me being a quitter and throwing in the towel on
I don't think you're
Los
a quitter.
Angeles?
You spent a month in Orange County. What's wrong with that? A month in Orange County is like not any different from spending a day in your house. Like now time is irrelevant and nothing matters, that when you come back, it'll still be March.
It's true.
Like it doesn't, by the time things get back to regular, we'll be like, I guess we lost a year. I think everybody deserves their, like, I'm coming up on my 33rd birthday, which I call my Jesus year.
Right.
And so, like, the 33rd is very important. And if I miss the big festivities of that, I'm just going to do a redo. And I'm actually going to delete a year from the timeline of my birth. And I'm going to be a year younger forever. And everyone will, it's like,
I think whenever this is over, we have to have the most lit St. Patrick's Day party ever.
I mean, we'll have to fly out to Boston.
That's
how you know it's going to be good.
There's a bar in Burbank called The Snug, and they still have a sign hanging on it that clearly had been hung up before they closed down. And it was open all day on St. Patrick's Day. We'll be here at 8 a.m. And I'm like, oh, isn't that
St. Patrick's Day was the last time I saw, like, I had outsiders into my apartment. I had 2 friends come over for St. Patrick's Day. We just had some drinks and ate some food.
Some people would tell you that even that was a little too late, Will.
I guess. Well, that's when I was like, oh, like they were here, and then I was like, oh, I guess after this I should probably not really see anybody.
But didn't you end up, you were supposed to have a socially distant picnic that turned into a socially distant brunch, right? You had that though, right?
Not really. It was not what it ended up supposed to be. It was like mostly just like a walk around the park, and that was kind of it.
Oh, that doesn't sound scandalous enough.
No.
That doesn't sound like something that Karen would complain about.
Yeah, people still scared. Well, the Karens are the ones who like bring their kids to the parks and don't wear masks, and they fucking get arrested by challenging cops, and the cops are like, okay, we'll arrest you.
Yeah,
What's the Hispanic name for Karen? Carreña?
I don't know. I'm not even going to try to guess that.
I think, Corinna, I think is probably good. Yeah,
Okay.
like C-O-R, yeah. Or Maria Conchita Alonso, if you really want to get specific.
My mom's name was Maria. Maybe my mom was a Karen.
What did she like that song from West Side Story?
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not. Although, to be, I don't know, sometimes people like having their name in a song. I dated a girl named Beth who thought that Beth was the greatest song ever. And I'm like, well, that's probably why I'm going to date you.
Yep. You're like, listen, I'm only in this because I'm a Kiss fan. I'm sorry.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. And, and then I dated a Christine and a modern day Delilah. And,
I listened to your podcast, and then I went to your podcast too.
Hey, it's our podcast, guys.
Podcast.
Guys, it's our podcast.
But
you guys aren't on all of them.
The Kiss one, and then I listened to a bunch of Kiss today. I told you a long time ago that during quarantine I was going to go through Kiss's discography. So I started officially tonight and listened to 2.5 albums.
I did the
from the beginning.
I did the original and Hotter Than Hell that night. That actually was after we watched Animalized Live Uncensored. But so yeah, Will Sterling, you watched a Bladtcast that you weren't in, that you weren't drunk, but you got mentioned many times. Did you watch the whole thing? Did you watch all?
So you're saying when I'm drunk in a Bladtcast, I'm technically not in it?
Kind of, yeah. Jeff, do you think that's is that a far-fetched notion?
I mean, I heard once, and it might have been on a T-shirt, that you go hard or you go home. So
it's true, and I'm always home now. So
and I'm always hard now.
Yeah, well.
Jeff, I don't want to hear an excuse about this thing called time differences when you're back in Massachusetts. I mean,
You
this
think
is
a person
probably,
that stays up all night is going to have a problem doing
Yeah.
things late?
Also, when we schedule specific times for you to come on the Bladtcast, don't be driving around your car for 3 hours going to some indeterminate place and then you never get there the whole time you're on the phone with us.
Where could I possibly be going? I've been in Massachusetts and done podcasts with you guys before. I've proven I know how to sit at a computer right now.
I just didn't understand why it was like just a constant car ride. It's like maybe you had to put a baby to sleep. I don't know. But
My best guess is that my best guess is it's an embarrassment factor. Either he's embarrassed of us and he doesn't want other people to know he's on this, or he's embarrassed of whatever else he doesn't want us to see all his Powerpuff Girl posters in his room.
We've never done video.
On the road.
That's a really specific choice, Powerpuff Girls. But here's the thing. Pretty sure you're right.
I like the Powerpuff Girls. I don't know about you guys.
So all right. As long as you're, but I think that we're gonna be doing the Bladtcast like this for a long time. There'll be a point where I'm perfectly fine to go over to Will Sterling's house, but will Will Sterling let me into his home? That'll be the real question.
Yeah.
You know, I have children.
Well, he said he was Jesus, so you
that's
have
true.
to let him in.
Well, I'm coming up on my Jesus year. So as soon as I turn 33, from 33 to 34, like fucking nothing can touch me except for the Romans.
So if that's the case, it's also your MC Hammer year.
Yes.
Because you can't touch this.
That's right.
All right.
And he did have that that verse that they took out about the Romans, you know.
The more interesting verse that got taken out was the one about the Greeks, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, it's Greek to me.
I always feel like Katie just keeps walking by so that we see her. I don't think she's trying to.
I have done a disservice in doing this in a common area. I should have done this in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So like, we live together, and it's perfectly normal to use the common spaces, and I'm sitting right in the line of sight of the common.
Yeah, not just a common space. You're facing the doorway.
The doorway that goes to the kitchen, which is like a very common area. Like I could just have done it actually towards another wall, and nobody would have been seen, but didn't think about it.
Jeff, what is it?
Drinking?
What is it about?
Peroni?
It's
No.
so
Pellegrino.
I've taken to
Italian.
being like an old lady where I get the like single packets and add it to the water.
Oh,
so I have
wow.
some
Is that a
flavored
Crystal Light?
water. It's like Hawaiian Punch.
Yep.
Same thing.
My mom does that with Crystal Light, but not San
Love Crystal
Pellegrino.
Light. Love Crystal Light.
So I have the San Pellegrinos because I got a bunch of these crush ones, like orange soda crush ones. And I tried it with flat water, and it just tasted like flat soda. And I was like, this is gross.
Yeah, no.
So then I got sparkling water, and I added it to that. And it was basically like a calorie-free orange soda, and it tasted really good. And I love orange soda because I am Cal. So it worked out.
Do you like soda? Do you like flat soda? Well, if you do, put this orange crush in your fucking still water. Drink that.
So, Jeff, what do you think it is about the Bladtcast?
Crush.
What do you think it is about the Bladtcast that drives people to move back to Massachusetts?
Yeah, we've pissed everybody
We're
off.
like two out of 5 it's happened for, and then the other one barely counts, but he basically moved to Rancho.
Christian, you're the most likely to push yourself back to Massachusetts. It's closer to New York.
Yeah, but my brother still lives in New York, but my parents don't live there. So it's, well, that's all the reason to move to New York. I say that just because my mom is watching now. But I don't know. But
I'd say it's much like the Joker, like, does the Joker drive his henchmen crazy, or does he just draw crazy people to him? Like, you've drawn people who want to flee LA to your podcast.
Yeah. Well, what about the mediocre? I think that he draws people who just can't find anything else to do. They're like, they want to be the henchman for somebody else, but they don't get a call. Yeah, they just don't get a call back. Like Two-Face is like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think the mediocre's greatest attack on your senses is that he bores you, but not enough to change the channel. You know what I mean? Whereas you're just like, I'm not enjoying this, but I'm not going to actively do anything about it, but I'm not happy about it.
The greatest trick,
like Scrubs.
the greatest trick that the mediocre ever pulled off was to convince you that he did exist, but wasn't particularly interesting.
Yeah.
So, well, Jeff,
Deal.
we're gonna miss you, but I feel like if you still lived up there in Van Nuys, I wouldn't see you that many times just because we're not seeing anyone. But we would get together at Will's house. That would be fun.
Well, plus you got to think of it like this. It's not like Natasha doesn't have her entire family in Los Angeles, so we still have plenty of incentive to come back.
Yeah, that's
true. This gives me an excuse to go to
East Coast, New York, Boston.
I've never been to Massachusetts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. You want to go to fucking Quincy Market?
You got to come in autumn so we can go apple picking.
Well, that's not true. I have been to Massachusetts. I landed at Boston Airport, but I went for a wedding in Cape Cod at fucking Chatham.
Fucking Chatham.
Chatham, Massachusetts.
Hey, you would fucking go to Chatham, kid.
I officiated a wedding in fucking Chatham, Massachusetts.
Was that the Doctor Who wedding?
No, that was the Jim Henson Studios here in LA, like forever ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Sorry, what were you saying, Jeff?
My mom grew up or spent some of her formative years growing up in the Cape in a place called Orleans, which I always thought was funny because I'm sure there's not a thing about this, but it's just like I imagine them getting pissed off at New Orleans, be like, they're trying to take all our credit.
Well, I feel like
original Orleans.
Yeah, that's like a bunch of people from Orleans were like, this place fucking sucks, and so then they went to fucking
bunch of fake French assholes down there.
We're going down. We're gonna make a New Orleans, and you guys are gonna fucking be our bitches. That's what's gonna happen.
But it doesn't seem like you have a firm date. So when do you have to move out of your?
It's like the people from York, you know, and then a bunch of people were like, "What? York? Fuck you. We're making New York." That's
we don't want to go to.
So,
Hey, why don't you take your fucking peppermint patties and shove them up your ass, York?
Come on.
I forget who it was, but somebody once asked me if New England was they thought it was a different country, and I was like, "Are you?" I always get really I mean, I'm sure it's somewhat conceited, but I always get really confused when people don't understand where Boston and Massachusetts are. I'm like, you mean the part of history where we all learn about, or?
Well, it took me a minute to understand it, because honestly, but as kids, I tuned that shit out. If we didn't, I grew up in Southern California, so it didn't matter to me. If you grow up in the East Coast, especially grew up in Boston, you're part of New England. That's you get it. Growing up in Southern California, I was like, it's basically Mexico and California. Fuck off. You know what I mean? I was like, that's all I know. All my friends are either white or Mexican. So that's everything. But then it took me until I was like, wait, who's the football team for all these states? And they were like, it's just the Patriots. They all have one team. It's the New England Patriots. And I was like, oh, that's New England. And that's when late high school, when the Patriots had that other Super Bowl stretch where they were in the Super Bowl a bunch. That's when I
Yeah.
Wait, the Patriots have been in the Super Bowl?
He's talking actually about the first stretch, 2001 to 2004.
Yes.
Not 2020, because some of these leagues are really determined to have sports in empty stadiums. And,
the NFL could do it.
Well, I mean, that'll show you. I don't know. To me, that just shows you how there's a price point for every politician, because there's always enough special interests. When Gavin Newsom is like, no, you know what? It seems like a pretty good idea for the Dodgers and Angels to start playing games. You could probably do it in June.
Yeah.
No fans.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, you can use the stadium. That's fine.
Yeah. We've been so strict. I mean, obviously, I do think California has handled this crisis better than our federal handling of it, but
better than somewhere like New York. I mean, obviously the layout of New York City is unique.
Well, it's harder. It's on top of itself.
Yeah, and I mean, other parts of that state are practically reopened at this point.
Right.
There's certain sports that you can do, and I don't know why.
Curling. It's cold. The virus can't survive.
Curling, no, because you actually have to get close. I'm thinking about things like tennis. You just you're on the opposite sides of the court from each other. Golf.
Golf was the first one.
Anyone.
I just realized that the other day. I was like, golf is the perfect sport to play during quarantine because you fucking never see anybody.
Ironically, the ones that you shouldn't be playing are the ones that were deemed essential by the state of Florida, and I'm talking about wrestling and martial arts.
Florida. Yeah.
Florida.
Jesus.
But I don't know. I mean,
wait, have you guys been watching Rick and Morty?
I have not. No.
They did one that I definitely, as a writer, I think you'll appreciate. So they went like 10 layers of meta, and they did an episode called The Story Train, where it's like they basically broke down all the anthology Rick and Morty episodes on this train that feeds off of their stories. And it just like gets more and more ridiculous until the end, when basically they just turn it into like, and Jesus Christ, the Bible, where all good storytellers go to die. And it's like when Jesus Christ comes in, just the way Morty says it, it's supposed to be like, Jesus Christ, but he goes, Jesus Christ. And then Jesus is, I don't know. It's my favorite thing right now.
I honestly, I watched season 1 and 2, and then I saw the first couple episodes of season 3, and then I fell away from it, not on purpose, but sort of by busyness, and now I need to catch up. I love that Christian is like queuing up a clip on his phone. I heard my own name said by him while he was not talking. So there's something.
That was just my heart talking.
No word.
It's only my heart talking. Well, there's a few things we need to get to, and the first is, you mentioned that did you watch the entire, like, I think it ends up being an hour 30.
I watched like an hour.
Yeah, well, that's a lot. That's that's about half of that episode. So when I
talked, an hour and 36 minutes.
Yeah, when I talked to Jason and Vinny from Kissed Alive, the Kiss tribute band, who, by the way, this Friday on Facebook Live at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, they're doing another live streaming concert. 3 sets, acoustic one in the middle. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
We talked about Will Sterling a few times, and there was a specific mention that I think I can play now, but it's like I'm going to show it to the camera. I have to move my mic. I don't know how this is all going to work. No. We're going to see how this goes. That's all right.
Oh, you forget you have a fancy mic.
I mean, it's not that fancy. It's just a fucking Blue Yeti. It's
like
just a fucking Blue Yeti.
Dick.
What's funny is that the Blue Yeti sounds so good. Like you should have it that close to you all the time because it sounds good. But when you record, you're like away from it, so it isn't.
Stay out of trouble. Exactly. Yeah, I know. I don't utilize it properly. It's because I don't have a good setup. I'll do shows with like Zia has like
Zia's got the whole like Twitch thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah. She's got that arm, and then I've done a few where it's like, oh yeah, that's all I would need.
I remember Dennis in a break once on the radio show moving the arm of his thing, and he goes, "Sounds like it's like a robot jerking off." I don't know why I thought.
And then we'd have to send somebody up there to
fix it.
Yeah, because it would start falling down. Yeah. So I think for the podcast, he has a stand-up mic now. So so he can't do that, but he wants to be able to do that. He's talked about it. Anyway, so Will Sterling got mentioned. He got name checked, which I thought was fun, and I just wanted you to watch that one part. But apparently, when you in a YouTube video, you can mark the point you want somebody to start it with.
Yeah.
But like sending it to you, it just went back.
It's not the fault of the Android. It's because you posted it on Twitter, so it doesn't pull the specific time code. It just brings up the YouTube video as like a reference.
Why did mine get right to the right point? Like
you're a bitch. That's why.
Do you think that? Do you really think that that's why?
That's
because I don't think you really think that, Jesse Pinkman.
I think you're helicopter, bitch. Yeah.
All right, so let's listen to the important Will Sterling aspect of this conversation from let's see, this was Bladtcast 382.
Yeah.
Will Sterling. I've seen. Yeah, I think we're friends on Facebook. Yeah. Will Sterling. I'm talking to you. I want to see you.
I turned it off.
Oh, God damn it.
God damn it.
Really riveting podcasting. What if I
photo of you posted in the comments section of you in Eric Carr makeup? Let's give the Fox some love on Friday night. What do you say, man? Come on. He's a good singer.
Yeah. So that's the whole point.
It's doable.
And that's when I gave a shout out to Ramona right after that.
It's doable. That's right. You guys talked about
Ramona came up a couple times in that conversation. So, Will
Ramona.
Sterling, we know that you have you've done the Fox makeup before.
Yeah.
And will you represent the Fox in the comments of that live Facebook stream?
Yeah, of course.
What about the original Paul Stanley makeup that you texted me earlier this evening?
The Bandit.
It's not the star. Yeah, it's.
I didn't know. It's like, it's funny. Like, I mean, I was thinking about this today. Well, because I watched the episode, and not the whole thing, but I got through it. And the reason I stopped listening, because you guys were talking so much about Kiss, I was like, I just want to like read Kiss stuff and listen to Kiss music. So I just turned off the podcast and started listening to the albums, the discography thing, and was reading. And I was like, I need to know the timelines of the band members, because I know everybody, but I was like, I want to know specifically like who was where and when. And I read about this Bandit thing, and I was like, how the fuck have I never known that there was an alternative Paul Stanley, that he was doing both makeup at the same time, but the Bandit was encouraged. He had the Star Child thing, but their manager, whoever, was like, you should have a design that's symmetrical like everybody else. So he had this Bandit makeup, but then they got rid of it.
I think the Star Child makeup is cooler. But it's all relative, because it's probably
True.
If you're Jeff Duray, none of it's cool. There's none of those.
No, a genuine question. What is it about? Because it's like, I enjoy bands and I enjoy their music, but it's like when you guys are talking about it, and just now when Will was like, just listening to you guys talking about it made me want to read Kiss stuff and I felt passionate about things like here and there, but it usually doesn't last like that. What is it, do you feel like, about Kiss that draws you in like that makes you so?
I mean, like, I feel like and I mean, I don't mean this in like a shitty way. I mean, truly, like, as a Patriots fan, the same way that like I teased you about the whole Tom Brady thing, and then you said Wally West, you know what I mean? Like, there's a crazy cross in terms of these things, how it's like, that's real people and that's a fictional character, but the passion and the drive is like the same. That like, it's like that, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, it's a fandom and it's like a support where it's like, they're real people, obviously, as a band, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the level of fandom usually stems from, most people find a band, specifically a band like Kiss, you find when you're a kid or at least younger. And, I was, when I really started to care, I was in like 8th grade. So it was like right in the sweet spot. And I'm like,
I was a sophomore in high school.
This is awesome,
Yeah.
And so then, then it falls away. For me, it definitely fell away at one point, because I was like, instead of like listening to songs like Let's Put the X in Sex and You Make Me Rock Hard, why don't I listen to the music that the girls like, and then try to put the X in Sex and see if they'll make me rock hard? And by the way, both of those things work. So
was your love like a muscle and it made you want to flex?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, my love was definitely like a muscle. Good. And we worked all day and we worked all night, and yes, we did all night. So
were they crazy nights?
Only some of them. Only some of them. So I think that has a lot to do with it, but it's like, also, I feel like you get a lot of crossover with a band like Kiss and people who obsessively collected comic books at some point in their life.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the way I approach a lot of things, is I want to know a lot. Like Will talking about like, I want to know like who was in the band at this point. And, it's all stuff that like at that time I was like, I needed to know more. And it was, the internet, when I was a kid, we didn't really have the internet until I was in college. I mean, not in my house. So it was like, if I wanted to do it, I would like go to an old record store and be like, oh my God, what is Music from the Elder? I need to have this, And so it's like, the way that you could find out more. Actually, this is the 3rd straight episode where I've shown these things like Rock and Roll Comics.
Yeah.
Where you would actually read. This is how I learned a lot about Kiss, was like these stories.
Who is that? Is that?
I actually don't know.
Who's it supposed to be?
So is there like a mythos about the characters that they dress up as?
Yeah, they do a bunch of bullshit and go in and out of stories. Like, I don't care about it.
I'm not judging it. I just want to say, I haven't been judging it at all. I think it's cool that you like it. I think it's cool. I wish I liked something like that. I wanted to know, like, is it this?
Mythos.
Okay.
Jeff,
I
think
the Gorillas, that's like 2 DJs, but they have
Love
all
the
those
Gorillaz.
characters.
Right,
But they have
right.
all and I think that's fascinating. I remember reading that Wikipedia page, but
Well,
it wasn't
that's-
like I was like, now I must watch all the. I was like, oh, this is interesting. What's up?
I
with
did the
this?
same thing with Daft Punk. Daft Punk is just
Yeah.
2 DJs, and obviously it's just 2 personas, but they have like this whole like you never see their faces. Like they do all that stuff, and like they made Interstellar 55555, which is their animated movie, and then they did Electroma, which was a movie where they didn't score it with their own music. And like I love and obsess over. I love Daft Punk. So like everything they do and everything they will do, like I am a fucking devoted to. It's the same like anything that I really love. It's the same reason like where like the New 52 feels like a betrayal, and that will make me stop reading comics because it's like don't take the thing. It's like that fucking Patton Oswalt skit where he's like talking about Star Wars, and George Lucas is like, Darth Vader, and he's like, yeah, I love Darth Vader with the fucking lightsaber. He's like, well, here's a story about him as a little kid, and it's like, I don't care. I don't care.
Fair.
He's like, I don't care where the stuff. And he's like, it would be like if you met George Lucas on the street, and he was like, do you like ice cream? And you were like, yeah, I love ice cream. I'd love a dish of ice cream. And he was like, well, here's a bag of rock salt. And you just mix things. Like, I don't care where the stuff I love comes from. I just love the stuff I love. And so, like, I don't need it to go any deeper other than just, like, make the music, do the shows, be the people. This was a whole tangent. But anyway, that's how I feel about this.
Jeff, I think that what we need is for you to join Will, myself, and whomever is interested in the KISS Army.
Start listening.
When we live tweet, KISS meets the Phantom of the Park.
Oh, reading Jeff's tweets during that would be like supremely
yeah.
amazing because it's like zero knowledge of KISS as a band, and then we're giving him arguably one of the most odd and shitty but amazing
Probably
things in their history.
Probably the worst thing that they ever did. And you'll be completely unforgiving of everything. There's a lot of like, yeah, but come on. It was like, that Gene's cape looked cool, right?
Yeah. They shot it at Magic Mountain.
They did.
Isn't that fun? Yeah.
Heather's cousin went to that show like at Magic Mountain. And I knew her for years, and I'm like, wait, how am I finding this out now?
Yeah.
That she went to the Magic Mountain show for and we're gonna do that June 1st. Which is a Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific. And I guess that's midnight Eastern, but, midnight Eastern doesn't mean what it used to when we could all go outside and we all had like offices to go to the next day. I'm sure it's available digitally. I'll find out how you can get it, Jeff. I of course have a DVD of it, but there's other ways to watch it. Cause I think that would actually be fascinating to get your take on like, what the hell is this? Cause it's not good. And they even they take some of the songs, and because it aired on broadcast television, like they couldn't sing Hotter Than Hell. So the lyrics to Hotter Than Hell are Rip and Destroy.
Rip and Destroy.
Yeah.
Rip and Destroy. Yeah, which arguably is actually more aggressive than Hotter Than Hell.
Kind of a better song. I agree. So that was the official announcement there. I don't know what your takeaway would be if you watched the Facebook Live concert from Kiss Alive on Friday. I think it's better for you to really just dive in. And it's like, oh, do you like superhero movies? Great. I've got the movie for you.
Here's the director's cut of Daredevil with Ben Affleck. Would you like to see
X-Men Origins Wolverine with a double feature followed by Spider-Man 3 with Topher Grace as Venom? Great.
There are way worse superhero movies to watch than that.
Such as
Josh Trank, Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, that's
X-Men 3. I would watch Spider-Man 3 over The Last Stand.
You might be right.
At least it's Sam Raimi and Danny Elfman in the fucking original cast.
Speaking of superhero movies, there's actual big news today in terms of this.
Oh yeah,
a big announcement.
Wait. Before you do this, I have a second part of my martini in the freezer. Can I refill it? Just real quick. I'm going to do it regardless of what you say.
So let's talk about how we hate Will.
God, I hate him so much, though. And really, like, who's he kidding? Just because he doesn't have to go out in public, does he really think he can get away with that haircut?
I feel like if he had to like go more places and deal with like the looks he would shave it off, because I did that once. I did that after my freshman year of college. I got that, and then went to too many businesses. They gave me bad looks, and I shaved it off.
Here's the thing, Will. If
Yes,
you were
exactly.
single and out there trolling for puss, you would not do this haircut right now. But because you have a girlfriend, you can get away with it.
It's true. And a super cool girlfriend who shaves my head for me and supports any look I want.
If I
What about your balls?
She will not shave my. No, I haven't asked her. She might. If I asked her, I guess. She herself had her head shaved for a year, but that was like many, many years ago.
Nice.
But not her balls.
Yeah, not her balls. No. Her balls remained very hairy. Yeah.
But same difference. Like I don't know that I would have let my hair go this long if I weren't married and hadn't already given up on life.
But you know what? When I have like a shaved head or like this haircut, nobody fucks with me. They think I'm crazy.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Bickle Rick.
Well, that's why I called you that. Yeah.
Bickle Rick.
Bickle Rick. So,
Tiny Rick.
Big
That's what I call
comic
my
book
penis.
news, which is what people come to the Bladtcast for. # release the Snyder Cut.
Oh my God.
It's gonna
You know how
happen.
you know how I knew it was going to happen yesterday? Because Jason Momoa posted a very obvious Instagram video that let me know it was definitely going to get
I
announced.
saw that he posted a video,
What did he
but
post?
I didn't see what it said.
He posted one yesterday before this got announced, being like a brand new, being like, release the Snyder Cut, and you know when I say things, they happen. So
Jesus.
I'm just putting it out there in the universe. I was like, wow, way to make it obvious that it's about to happen.
A couple things about this. I would like to use this as my moment to begin the hashtag bring back the Whedon cut, because by the time everybody sees the Snyder Cut, I said this months ago.
Yeah.
What makes everybody think that the Snyder Cut is going to be so good? We've seen this movie.
The
Snyder Cut.
We haven't
I
seen
disagree.
This movie.
Here's the thing.
This movie was supposed to be dark and like scary.
Well, it's in
not
the same vein of Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've seen the Snyder cuts of both of those movies. And there can be there's that longer version of Batman vs Superman, which is like, all right, I mean, I guess if you want that storyline of him going to Gotham and like not meeting Batman, and doesn't he help some woman, or I don't even remember what the story was. There's some storyline that's not in the regular theatrical version.
Well, they try to make him like a journalist.
That's
Clark Kent journalist. Right?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So, but
about fake news.
How much of the existing movie do you think is the Snyder Cut? I think it's like 80%.
No, it's not.
I think it's
20%.
They're going to take out.
He did like 80% reshoots.
80% reshoots.
80? Oh, I thought it was.
But here's the thing. They're going to spend $20 million on this, so that's going to be some VFX. I guess some reshoots, and I'm going to assume that there's no reshoots with Affleck, because
you never know. The thing that I will say about that's honestly kind of amazing to see is that all of the cast, especially Jason Momoa, Ben Affleck has said it, but Jason Momoa and the guy who plays Cyborg, Ray Parker. Not Ray Parker.
Ray Parker Jr.
Or Ray
Who
Park,
are you gonna
who
call?
plays Darth Maul and fucking Ray something. Anyway, all the whole cast is like, Zack Snyder has built this relationship with his cast that like they really love him, and I think that they were like really bummed. They were under contract and they had to go do this thing, but like everybody who talks about working with Zack Snyder is like, say what you will about the quote unquote quality of his movies, but like with his cast, like he has a reputation for being like a really great guy, and everybody loves working with him. So everyone was pissed that like when the movie came out and it was fucking, at least by that size movie standards, a flop. You know what I mean? It made $650 million as opposed to $1 billion, which it made less money than fucking Batman vs Superman, which is crazy.
Yeah, but remember that's why Amazing Spider-Man 2 was considered a failure, because it didn't make $1 billion. It made like $600 million.
That's what I mean. It's like really the Justice League should be making that much money, right? This is the first time this movie's ever happened before.
No, the Justice League should have been at the very least original Avengers, like the first Avengers. It should have
exactly.
Well,
they
not
didn't build up to it, so they didn't necessarily earn it in that way.
Yeah.
But like,
no, they rushed the whole thing, which was always the mistake.
but
arguably
then,
Justice League has more recognizable characters than Marvel.
No,
Like I'd say
100%.
Batman and
100%.
Superman are the top.
Yeah,
They're
and
the
then-
pinnacle
Woman,
of superheroes.
Flash.
And Wonder Woman and
I'm
Wonder
saying,
Woman,
like,
Flash, and Aquaman. Those
the
are
two that everybody knows, not just knows, but like knows information about
No, yeah.
are Superman
But
and Batman.
to your
Right.
point, Jeff, if you're like, oh, you know who two superheroes are? There's only two. It's gonna be
Batman,
Superman and Batman. Those are
Right.
the two that everybody knows. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, I honestly, but like watching that movie, like, there's so many moments. I remember seeing it in the theater, and I have yet to rewatch it a second time. I've only ever seen it once. And
Same here. But meanwhile, our friend, the rampaging rhino, like saw it
oh,
7
he
times.
loves it. Yeah,
So it's
and
like
that's
7
fine.
times in the theater.
I mean, I like, I saw
Yes.
Batman. I saw Batman vs Superman in the theater 4 times, and Man of Steel 6 times,
And Phantom Menace 8 times.
and Phantom Menace 8 times. So I obviously know if I like something, I like it. And I didn't really care for Justice League because it felt like this weird stitched together movie, and the bad CGI Henry Cavill, like the things that they tried to do over ended up being worse. And Zack Snyder, I could only imagine, was like, guys, I shot the whole movie. You just have to finish the VFX, like just do that. And they're like, no, we're going to spend another $200 million and like reshoot half of it to make it only 2 hours, which is like their bullshit rule from some asshole. Like DC at Warner Brothers movies has like fucking never had it figured out. And they've tried to work with Jeff Johns, who also can't pull it together in television. They need like a Kevin Feige person. I'm not going to say that that person's me, but that person's totally me, to sit in a room and be like, I will map out how this shit is going to work in fucking 45 minutes. And we'll build phase 1 and 2 of our whole cinematic universe in a fucking second. So I feel like Zack Snyder had a vision, and I'm very excited that we finally get to fucking complete what he had started with those 2 movies.
Look, I love the idea that we're going to get to see it. I'm just not convinced that.
I'm not saying it's going to be great, but I'm saying it cannot be worse than what we have.
That's true. I agree. I agree with that. Go ahead, Jeff.
I've got 2 things. One, there's a new animated DC movie that came out recently, Justice League Dark Apocalypse.
Oh, how
And
is that?
I really liked it. It's probably one of the best ones I've seen recently. It's so dark and so violent. Basically, you get to watch animated versions of like the Teen Titans and most of the Justice League get like viscerally ripped apart, like skulls and spines ripped out of their bodies kind of shit. Like it goes really, really dark. It was pretty cool. So that was actually pretty interesting. And that the reason I bring that up is because it's like, to me, that's more interesting. Like I've seen enough of the cookie cutter DC superhero world. Like I like it when it's awful. Like it's more engaging. So that's why I liked Snyder's feel. And the last one, before I forget it, I wanted to ask if you guys, it's semi-tangentially, but have you guys seen The Invisible Man?
Not yet, but I hear it's really good. The Elizabeth Moss one?
Hated it.
Oh, okay. Well.
Unfortunately. And that's why because everybody, like, I keep looking around and it has such good reviews and the premise seems so good and certain things seemed good, but it was like, for me, right from the very get-go, I thought that the characters were completely unbelievable. I thought their motivations were bad. So it doesn't, I don't think this spoils anything to say that it's
that was me in The Notebook. I was like, I don't buy this couple at all. Fuck these people. These old, no.
Well, it's like, for me with a monster movie, if you're going to use tech as your explanation and they're like, he's got a suit that makes him invisible, right? Okay.
Is that the premise of the movie? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Then they like, she says it pretty early on, essentially. Okay. It's not like
it's not Kevin, what's his name in Hollow Man?
Yeah, no, it's not Hollow Man.
Okay.
Hollow Man was more scary to me.
Hollow Man was awesome.
Yeah, it was fucked up. I get what they were going. There was like they were trying to do that like psychological suspense, but to me it's just everything fell so flat because there was no logic to any of the things that happened. And I'm like, if you use science as your explanation, you need logic. Yeah. And I was just the whole movie so frustrated as to why things didn't make any sense.
I have a problem with people. I mean, when it's a cheesy horror movie, I get it, but I have a problem with people behaving unlike the way that 90% of logical people would behave in horror movies that are like lauded by critics. So I just watched this movie, The Lodge, the other day, and
How
it
was
was like I didn't like it.
Okay.
It was like that movie and fucking Midsommar and all that shit. Like they go to festivals and everybody talks about like how they're the fucking best, the next best horror movie, and everybody like falls all over them fucking selves. And so then I'm watching these movies and I'm like, I'm trying to keep my expectations to zero, but I can't 100% keep them to zero because everybody else has told me how fucking amazing it is. And then I watch it and I'm like, cool. So what I hope is I see people behaving and acting like human beings would. They don't have to behave 100% rationally, but the things that are happening. And I was like, none of this is living up to any of the things that people are saying. And I can't do it anymore. Like I love horror movies, but when people like fall all over themselves in praise of something and I watch it, I'm like, this movie is filled with fucking idiots. So I can't do it.
Let me get, you saying that gave me the perfect example, and it's the very beginning of the movie. So the very beginning, Kate Moss, is leaving.
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss, sorry.
I wish Kate Moss was in that.
What it is I keep trying to call her Elizabeth Olsen because she was like Peggy Olsen and Mad Men, and her names are all jumbled in my head.
Yeah,
anyways,
she is the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. So she has like fled this whole thing, right? And she's run through some woods to meet a car in the middle of the night because she's fleeing this home from this abusive guy, right?
Yeah.
And who we haven't seen abuse her, but we know is abusive because she's scared. And she gets in the car. It's like got to be 3 a.m., something like that.
It's exactly 3 a.m. They show, because she gets up. Yeah.
And you're on back middle of the woods road, meeting somebody near a rich house, and her sister, once she gets in the car, she's like, go, just go. And her sister's just sitting there like, what's going on? What is happening? What is with you? And it's like, you met your sister at 3 a.m. in the middle of a road, and that's when and the guy's running towards the car. That's when you think it's time to hash this out. Like,
talk it out.
Fucking kidding me right now.
Every time I write something, I go through it and I go, would I be mad at this movie if it had this moment? And I try to find a logical reason to not have any of those things. Like, I want things to progress. Not everybody's going to behave 100% rationally, but like, I can't have scenes where they exist just to fill the space to make it scary. Where some executive was like, we got to have some moment where she fucking gets in the car and he's catching up to them, and
we need the glass of the window to break. I didn't hate the movie. I thought it was all right. I also watched the original Invisible Man around the same time, which anybody who had the original, like the original, like 1930s black and white.
Yeah, I love that one.
I recommend everybody watch that.
It's good.
But the Invisible Man is probably the last movie I'll ever see in a movie theater. And I looked it up. February 28th is when I went to see that at 9:30.
Oh, you saw that in the theater? Okay.
I saw it in the theater back when that was a thing.
My buddy sent me a message. He said, I miss having a couple beers and then going to the movies. And I honestly, not kidding, saw the words going to the movies and reflected to myself, oh, I forgot about going to the movies.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where we are right now.
Well,
I totally forgot that was like something that we did.
That used to be like my little respite. I'd go on Sunday nights to a movie by myself, have my popcorn, like decompress before my week ahead.
They're not still charging you for your AMC pass, are they?
No, it's funny. I have so much money because all my monthly subscription costs.
I bought a piece of furniture. I'm investing in the stock market. Paying down debt. I'm like, this is great.
I completely paid off my very expensive laptop, so I'm very happy about that.
But Jeff, you probably haven't had popcorn in like months, right? Are you making it at home?
It's funny. I have a bunch of popcorn, but I haven't cooked it up or eaten it.
No,
not the same.
I'll be. I think I'll be going to the drive-in for a little while because I think I told you guys that I took the kids to see Trolls World Tour at the drive-in, the Tiki Drive-in in Pomona.
No.
Oh, it was great.
Was I drunk when you told me?
Yeah, you might have been drunk. I actually don't know. Maybe I didn't talk about it. Because, I do a lot of these without you guys, whatever.
Well, and then AMC, the Universal guy was like, hey, this is the future of what we're going to do. And AMC was like, we're not going to show any Universal movies. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you guys are fucking idiots. Don't measure dicks in this moment.
Yeah,
Like
just-
you're definitely going to show Universal movies. Shut
Yeah,
the
and
fuck
they're
up,
also
stop.
not going to release Fast 10 or whatever the next. They're not going to let you watch.
Yeah, Fast 9.
You're going to have to go and watch it in the theater. They're not
Right.
going to, but they'll do that with Trolls World Tour and Scoob.
Scoob.
I know that's not Universal, but the Scooby-Doo movie that just came out.
I just realized something really
Yeah.
awesome / awkward. You know that massive movie theater at Universal City Walk is
Yeah.
an AMC?
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
That's right.
Not
Think about
showing
that.
any of your movies,
Hey,
motherfuckers. Shoot it there. We won't show it here.
Any of the fucking movies of the studio that we're part of. Yeah, that's what, when I read that statement, I was like, I get why the CEO said that, but he didn't necessarily mean that in a way as to say like every Universal movie is going to be in theaters and at home at the same time. He was like, this is the new landscape for certain movies, but it wasn't phrased that way. And then AMC, for whatever reason, whoever that fucking guy was like, woke up that day and was like, he needed to be like really mad at somebody. And like, that was the first thing he read in the morning. And he was like, whoa, fuck you. All of AMC theaters are not going to show you. And I was like, this is the most extreme response to something insanely inconsequential that I was like, you just look like a supreme asshole.
No, and look, I mean, I understand that, like, look, for that industry to survive, you have to have.
I get it.
There's
Yeah.
there's people that have been like, well, why don't they just put Black Widow on Disney Plus? I'm
No.
like, what? Because they
No.
want to make a fucking $1 billion with it.
Same reason Warner Brothers wouldn't put Wonder Woman on.
Yeah,
fucking,
it's just
yeah.
like, no, they'll wait. It's fine. There's no rush. And I'm just, I think I like the drive-through business model right now. I might come around on the movie theaters again. I love the movie theater, but, you know, I'm in no rush. And just think about how different those are going to look. You know, I mean, what are they going to do? Like 30, 40%, you know, every other seats. I mean, it's going to be Jeff
Yeah.
DeRay's dream.
Well, let me
Like,
say,
the most people in the theater would be like 8. Jeff's like, that sounds like 6 too many.
Pushing it.
Yeah.
this all this is honestly prime time, and I've dedicated myself to in quarantine, making sure that when I come out of quarantine, I'm like the fittest, baddest, smartest motherfucker in the world. So when we finally get back to normalcy, like 2-3 years from now, the Wiltourage is going to be fucking really going.
Oh, it's going to be lit.
That's when my career is really going to blossom.
It's going to be off the chain.
Push-ups, shaving my head, you know, doing crazy things, getting in the zone. That it's finally going to happen, and I'm going to put butts in seats.
When you
I'm
say
saying it now.
when you say get in the zone, you're referring
Auto
to
zone.
the zone. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yes. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. I don't know. I hope that you know, movie theaters start showing movies again. But again, watching a movie in my car is a little bit easier to wrap my head around. Plus, I don't know if I'm allowed to go to a movie theater right now anyway. So it would be a little while before. Let's just.
I mean, I'm sure there are movie theaters open somewhere in America. I just don't know what they're playing.
Well, the big chain ones aren't. They're like, no, we're good. We don't want to
Yeah.
be liable. So like AMC, Cinemark, like Regal, those aren't open anywhere.
right.
But your independent movie theaters can open in places like Georgia, Texas. They
They're
probably
just
are.
like the best years of our lives and like a bunch of old.
No, I mean, what
black
I
and
heard is
white
that they're
movies.
gonna like show like
The
Back to the
Matrix.
Future for like $5, you know, that sort of a thing.
Matrix, yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog.
But also, Jeff, I know that you mostly go for the popcorn. I think that the popcorn is going to be very different. They're going to still pop it there, but when you get it, it's going to be like in a concealed, like a covered. There'll be some kind of lid on it, some kind of
Yeah.
plastic.
Just
and-
like
I'm not
Let
mad
It Go.
about that.
Conceal, don't
Yeah, but
feel.
I don't
Let
know
them
that you're
know.
going to get the refill anymore. We're not going to get the open bucket where I could just fit my face into it and strap on. But
You want that popcorn to sit on your face, Christian?
I don't think that I don't think that we're going to be able to help ourselves to the fountain drinks. You know what I mean? I think that there's a lot of those
fountain
kinds of,
attendant who's like, let me push the button
Yeah.
for you.
Look, we all saw what happened to Soup Plantation. It still hurts me.
What
that
happened to Soup Plantation? I didn't see what happened.
They've
to it.
closed forever.
What?
Oh my God, Will.
Was I drunk when we talked about this last time?
No, we didn't
or-
talk about it on the
Oh,
Bladtcast.
I've
It
just
happened
avoided the
afterwards.
news almost entirely.
It was
Because
like
I'm
the
trying
main.
to get fit for the Wiltourage, Christian.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
The headlines were everywhere. Last plantation owner driven out of business.
Finally took down Whitey. It took a novel coronavirus, global
Brad Pitt's
global
executive
pandemic
producing credit.
took down supplantation.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, not the savior of the Final Plan.
Yeah. So, buffets, all this. When I went to Philly's Best to get some delicious cheesesteaks to go, and I saw people using the communal fountain drink, the soda fountain, I was like, ugh. I was just thinking about like all Corona or otherwise. I'm like, I mean, there's definitely syphilis on that thing,
If buffets are doing poorly, how do you think Jimmy Buffett's going to fare? How do you think the Parrot Heads are going to do?
Do you think Golden Corral has gone out of business?
Yeah. Yes. Golden Corral, hometown Buffett.
So, here's what I think about the way that buffets are going to operate. It's like, how like when you go to like a fancy buffet in Vegas, there's like the guy at the carving station. Yeah. I think every station's going to have a person. You're not going to be able to help yourself.
I think it's
that'll take the fun out of the buffet. If I can't, pile my plate all the way up to my eyebrows, then it's like, yeah, can I have a fifth hot dog? Yeah, good. One more scoop of lasagna. Yeah, Jell-O. Put the Jell-O on that. Because it's like if you have to interact with a human, you're not going to eat the way that you usually do. It's going to take the fun out of it.
Yeah, when
you think we're going to get skinnier as a country?
I mean, we'll find a way to be fat. Look, that's the thing. America will always persevere. When it comes to being morbidly obese, we will
find. Okay, everybody is going to find a way to be fat. Okay.
I've got this huge McDonald's feast for the next winner of the Super Bowl. I'm talking about Ivanka when she goes into the bathroom after me. I leave huge stinkers. I'm a winner. The toilet's gold because gold doesn't rust when you shit acid.
There are so many hamburgers that everyone's going to be able to eat after this. Hamburgers from here to everywhere that you could ever think.
Do you think that Trump said no to bringing the Raptors to the White House because he didn't want his tiny little baby hands compared to Kawhi Leonard's massive claws? Can you imagine him trying to shake hands with Kawhi? Just bye.
I think he just figured it's Canada. They don't need to meet him, So let's see. What were the other things that I wanted to talk about? Those were the important things.
Well, we diverged from the Snyder Cut, but we don't need to get back.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Well, I've been obsessing over Invisible Man and how much I'm like, what did I miss? Because I was like, maybe I just fucked this movie up by getting mad at it.
Most new horror movies.
No, it was okay. But
I watched The Lodge the other night, and everybody raved about that movie being incredible. And I watched it, and I was like, fuck this movie. So I miss most things. I miss horror movies, frankly, being horror movies. Now we're in this weird stage. I appreciate it where it's like cerebral in a Rosemary's Baby way, but like it's also to the nth degree where it's like you're a fucking idiot if you don't understand it. Like I remember seeing Hereditary and I was like, this movie's pretty good, but the ending is pretty cliche. And the boring bullshit that happened before the basic ending, like, doesn't justify the buildup. The buildup deserved a more unique payoff, and the payoff was Rosemary's Baby. And then he did Midsommar, and that movie fucking sucked. And it was like almost 3 hours long. The first 45 minutes of that movie, I was like, this is a fucking perfect film. It is beautiful. And then they hit a moment where it was like, really, this is what is going to determine how the rest of this movie plays out. And it's huge. And something major happens. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but something major happens.
I've seen it. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it, so there's always a chance I might see it.
Something major.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Something major happens.
So on Amazon Prime where I don't have to pay extra. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I might see it. Yeah.
Something major happens, and to me, I was like, okay, everybody who's here is a highly educated college student who is there for their thesis. Well, after this thing happens, all of these people, because of the groundwork that we laid, must behave this way. And if they don't, it betrays its premise. And none of them fucking behaved the way that they should have behaved. And it fell into fucking, I don't fucking know what. But like, I resent that movie for being this thing that like everybody fucking jerked each other off for being so beautiful. And I was like, this movie sucks. Because the guy did a masterful job at setting everything up in Act 1. And then he was like, here's the reality we're living in. And then here's the inciting incident for that. And he was like, actually, I don't really care. Like, it was
What did you
bullshit.
think of it, Jeff?
Midsommar.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get. It's one of those ones where I watched it and I was like, "Oh, The Wicker Man, cool."
It was 1,000% to Wicker Man, except not as honestly, the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man movie is more entertaining than that fucking movie. And I love
agree.
the original Wicker Man, but the fucking Nicolas Cage one is more entertaining because I'm like, he's in a bear suit, fucking roundhouse kicking and punching people into walls. Like, fuck Midsommar. That movie sucks.
Did you see Color from Space, the new one with?
But I
it's
want
pretty
to.
interesting.
I love.
It's called Color from Space.
It's an H.G. Wells story.
H.P. Lovecraft. I love H.P. Lovecraft. Speaking of.
Color from Space is what my grandfather
something.
called Empire Strikes Back when he saw that Lando was in it.
Shouldn't laugh at that, but it's really funny.
I know Will didn't want to laugh at that, but he had to.
Color from Space is what I called Meteor Man.
I remember David Spade's joke about Meteor Man on the Hollywood Minute on Weekend Update was, it's a superhero with the ability to disappear from theaters in a single weekend.
My favorite part about that movie that I'll never forget is how confused I was when that whole gang of African Americans had blonde hair. I was like, is that real? Is that natural? Like, what the fuck is going on here? I was so confused because I was a little kid. I was like, what the hell? They can do that?
Before we wind things down, I wanted to show that in this Kiss comic book, Stan Lee has a cameo. I want to show it to you, Will, right here. If you look.
Oh my God, I remember when I invented Kiss.
It's 70s Stan Lee.
I saw the Hulk climbing on a wall, and I thought to myself, what if I could kiss every woman I wanted to who wasn't my wife? And I invented the band Kiss.
Why was Hulk on a wall for this?
That was always the origin of that joke, was me and my friend Kelly, before we...
Wait, you mean SLC Green Arrow?
He was the one who started doing that joke, and we started doing it together, and then I think I started doing it on the podcast, and it just became like a big thing. And he exacerbated it into this thing where it's like, for whatever reason, Stanley's inspiration for coming up with anything was, because he used to say, like, I remember when I invented Spider-Man, I saw a spider climbing on the wall. Like, for whatever reason, his motivation for inventing anything is that he saw the Hulk climbing on the wall. This doesn't make any sense. He's like so meta, wrapped up in his own shit that he invented that, like, in his fucking acid office moments in the 60s, just saw the Hulk climbing on the wall, and he invented anything you can think of, even Febreze fabric softener, any of those.
I remember when I invented Febreze fabric.
I remember when
the Hulk had to launder those fucking purple pants.
I saw the Hulk climbing on the wall.
I love the version of reality where Stan Lee was a very sick, mentally ill man who like lived in this crazy fantasy world and drew pictures to try and show people what he was seeing, and the rest of us were like, "Oh, neat! What's going on next week?"
Anyway, Will, I wanted to show off the fact that I have a motivation report T-shirt on
this whole time. I had no idea.
Because I can't. I'm not good at positioning my camera in a way where you can see.
But Christian, if you're good at one thing, it's positioning. I know from experience.
I've clearly accomplished that twice in my life.
Yeah.
Evidenced by the fact that I have 2 kids. So, Will, there are many people, especially Paul P. from Cleveland, who had hoped that the Bladtcast would have ended years ago. But you have taken your podcast, The Motivation Report, out back and old yellered it.
I did. I had to.
So
yeah.
I have not listened to the last one.
Really?
I wanted to. I wanted to today. Did you announce what's next for you in the world of podcasting?
No, not yet. Only because my timeline is like so fucked right now. You know what I mean? Like, I had a whole I know what I want to do with what's next, but it's
Is your new podcast called Summer of Gay?
no.
Oh.
Did we coin that term here live on the Bladtcast?
No, it's come up a few times. I think in the
Do
chat.
people know? Do people know what that is? Right?
You've talked about how somebody said that everybody needs to have a Summer of Gay, right? Isn't that?
I don't remember who said that to me. Did somebody say that to me?
Yeah, that's how it started. You had we decided that you were going to have a Summer of Gay because somebody that you knew, and I actually remember who it is, but I won't say, somebody that you knew who worked with somebody else.
Text it to me.
Yeah. Somebody that you knew basically said that everybody needs to have a Summer of Gay.
Sure.
And we wanted you to have a Summer of Gay, but
I kind of did.
I mean, that's not a Summer of Gay.
No, it's not a summer of gay. It's an incident of it within a summer season.
Yeah, but I don't know that you've talked about that. I just remember talking about that at Mr. Furley's.
I think you should go for more of the quarantine queer.
Queerantine?
Yeah. No, with my podcast, I don't know. I mean, I know what I want to do. I want it to be a sandbox, basically, for me creatively. You know what I mean? So, like, within the motivation report, I did the Superman audio drama. I did
still waiting for the sequel.
Well,
I have auditioned as Davros.
I started writing it
All right.
like a year and a half ago, and then I just stopped. And I know exactly how it needs to go, and I could sit down and probably write it.
Jeff wants to be K9
in a day. And
I texted you who I think it was. If you want to check your text.
I
think I'm right that's who it was.
Probably. Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's who it was.
This same person was very creepy to me, and it was not a good ending.
We're talking about Bujenski, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. But I don't. Originally, it was gonna be like interviews and creative stuff, and it was gonna be kind of like a sandbox for me because, like, you know, with a podcast called The Motivation Report, I'm kind of stuck. Thank you. Also,
but somebody pointed out on Twitter, it was a great logo.
It's a great logo.
Yeah.
That my friend Michelle Theme, who designed the Bladtcast logo t-shirt.
Wow. Let's be fair. Steve Ditko designed the Bladtcast.
Well, yeah, but she used the font and made.
She used the Spider-Man font.
She did the work to plagiarize it.
She did it. You know what? But we should still be thankful, Michelle.
I'm very appreciative.
Put it together, and as I've come to see on billboards and other things, that same font and style for the Motivation Report exists elsewhere. I thought it was like, oh, cool, she designed this whole thing, and then I was like, oh, it's just like clip art. The podcast with motivation in the title sort of limits me to that thing, and I don't want to do that. I'd love to read my short stories and my poetry and perform things and have people acting in short scenes that I write. And everything would be auditory based, but audible based? I don't know. Anyway, the second martini is really kicking in, but basically there's a plan in place for what it's going to be in the future. And I'm just going to use the same feed. So it's just going to go into this, you know what I mean? So all my subscribers who are subscribed to the Motivation Report are going to get this new podcast.
Just know that doesn't always work because when the Dennis Miller radio show ended, the feed switched over to the Bladtcast. And we had like 2 episodes where like 4,000 people like downloaded it. And then like all of a sudden it was like, wait, what the fuck?
What? I
don't want this. By the way,
it does for me because I'm not changing it.
Yeah, so no. It's still you. It's people want you. Jeff, I like that you're tweeting right now as Do-Ray Jeff. Because
one thing.
Are you getting notifications from Do-Ray Jeff?
You know Mormons are boring in bed because they're all about the missionary work.
I thought of a joke, so I figured I should tweet it.
Do-Ray Jeff has had some good ones. Here's the one I was thinking of. What do you call a guy who jerks off to ashes?
I saw this the other day and I was like, what the fuck?
A cremator ejaculator?
I'm disappointed that nobody asked me what would lead me to think about a joke like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
fuck.
no.
Yeah. What the fuck,
I
Jeff?
still don't need to ask.
Don't.
Well, Will, let us know what's going on with the world of podcasting.
Yeah, you listened to the last episode. I hope you cry a little bit. It was honestly, I am a sucker for endings. That's what the whole episode was about. I was like, I am not going to just stop doing this. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm not going to just stop doing this and then suddenly one day it's a new podcast. I was like, I need to close the book on the motivation report. Like that's just built into my DNA.
So
it's like I need hard endings.
you want to be the last
I
minute.
need hard endings, Christian.
You want to be the last minute of the Cheers finale where somebody tries to get into the bar and Ted Danson's like, sorry, we're closed.
Yeah.
Fade to black.
Basically.
All right.
So another random thing. There's Justin Roiland, one of the guys who made Rick and Morty, has that new show on Hulu. And in the first episode, the two alien characters are watching TV and they believe it's all real. And they go to something and it's like, that person's not real. And so the one character is freaking out and he's like, so you're saying that this TV show's not real? And he goes, if Frasier's not real, I'm going to kill myself right now. And every time I see that, I think of Will. I'm just like, yes.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, Will, you should have been in Frasier's living room this whole time. I forgot about that.
I guess that's good.
It's probably too late now.
I could still set it up.
No. Well. Anyway, Jeff, you don't have a firm departure date, right?
Well, so our lease ends the 6th.
Okay.
July 6th.
So
I think we're out then.
You might get to celebrate America. All right. So the last time we were all together was Will getting really drunk, and my mom was disappointed.
I hope she's less. Honestly, I hope she's less disappointed in me this time.
I hope. Well, I mean, you're not drunk this time. I mean, you've had a couple of cocktails. So there was an amazing.
I had a couple of cocktails before we recorded last time.
Fair.
This time I had the cocktails while we were recording.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. Yeah, if we ever, because we were talking to our friend Rick Navarro about doing the Bladtcast like happy hour.
Oh yeah.
The key is to drink during, but not before. So
Correct.
when we do that, it has to be the during.
Right.
So I wanted to share with our audience as we wind down here. Yes, believe it or not.
An hour and a half block.
Yeah, well, but that's what we call a short one.
It's true.
I wanted to share some of the interactions that Will had with us on text the next day after.
Are we doing this?
Yeah.
How do I read this?
You just read yours and I read mine. It's that simple.
So I just read it.
Yours are the gray
and put on a voice.
You just be Will. That you can do whatever you want. I'm gonna just do my voice. I read the green. You read the gray ones.
Okay.
So
Ready?
this is basically you watching it back because you wanted to see what the end.
My offensive joke. Yeah. Don't say it like that. It makes me feel even worse.
Sorry, racist.
Great. I'm really coming out on top in this one. I'm really coming out on top.
Oh, punch it, Chewy. Punch it.
You ready?
Yep.
I forgot how much peanut butter I ate. And after we recorded, I ate 3 cans of chili. I'm doing really well, you guys.
Whoa, you buried the lead. 3 cans of chili? Presumably right out of the can without heating it up.
I guess 2 is just not enough. Correct.
2.
I also remember being very uncomfortable before passing out.
Because you had to take a 3-can dump?
Not yet, but that's really going to be something.
At least the chili will finally be heated up by your anus.
I got those texts out of order, so that's more funny.
It will be in the right order when we dramatize these texts on the podcast. And scene, which was all in the text.
Yeah, when I first got them, it said, so I said, not yet, but that's really going to be something. And then I read, by your anus, at least the chili will be finally heated up. And I was like, what? Why would he phrase it like that? And then I realized that it was
I love the fact that you had 3 cans of chili.
Oh my God. 2 of which were non-bean. And you know what a non-bean chili consistency makes it like chili without beans? It's fat content. Yeah. And it is not pleasant. I remember laying in my bed basically rolling over back and forth in such discomfort, saying to myself, why did I do this? Why did I eat this much food? It was not fun. I woke
What have
up
I
with,
done to deserve this?
oh God,
Yeah.
I was farty. I was farty for the whole next day. Really bad.
Was your girlfriend around?
She was not, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you're gonna have to be
I
out
just
by
realized that Jeff opened up his Millennium Falcon cockpit lightspeed picture.
That's why I said punch it, Chewy, punch it.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you were talking to me.
Did you need me to make a 9 numb reference? Would that have been better?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Make a tossed salad and scrambled eggs reference from my background.
Fraser's left the building, but not yet. So somewhere by July 6th, Jeff is going to leave.
I don't like this.
I definitely don't like this, but you did make the point that
I
Natasha's
think we should still get together in person. I think we should break precedent and get together in person if we can verify
that was why I brought up the fact that I'm going to be down in Orange County. It'll be hard. It'll be difficult for me, but I don't know. I think that Heather and I will have to come check on the house at some point.
If we can verify that we've been clean for however many weeks.
I mean,
basically now the COVID scare is just going to be STDs. And you just have to make sure someone's clean and check on the last time they got tested. Yeah. And we go about our business.
Yeah, and just use it.
One big syphilis scare.
Just use a dental dam whenever you blow one of your friends.
Exactly.
That's what I've been saying for years, but nobody listens to me.
I remember learning about dental dams in high school, and I was like, who the fuck would ever do this? Has anybody in the history of life used a fucking dental dam? If so...
Didn't Patrice O'Neill have a whole hilarious bit about dental dams and how it's like, you telling me that I'm not going to offend a woman by being like, hold on. I don't want to actually touch your disgusting vagina with my mouth. Let me just put up this saran wrap over you and just...
What the fuck?
Let
me suck your dick with a condom on. I'm sorry, Christian's mom, who's going to watch this.
I'm sorry for my mom. I'm sorry for my wife and my daughter if she watches this one day.
Oh, no.
Let's see. This would have been, I think, 1999. I received a blowjob where the girl put a non-lubricated condom on and I was so confused, uncomfortable, and disappointed that I just didn't know what to say.
It was a blowjob to completion with the condom on, not sex. It was just, I'm going to give you a blowjob with this condom on.
Not easily, but yes, eventually there was completion. And it was just like, it was mostly because I just wanted it to be over.
Were you thinking about like a big Mets victory in order to get hard in that moment?
Not in 1999, I wasn't.
I would have been like, hey, we gotta stop. I can't. I don't know what this is, but
I was thinking about that cameo by Stan Lee in the Kiss comic book. Basically, that's how I was able to finish.
If only one day I could see Stan Lee have cameos in a bunch of Marvel movies. It reminds me of when I saw the Hulk climbing on the wall, and I thought to myself, Stan Lee deserves to be in every Marvel movie that's ever been made.
I remember when I invented dental dams.
And that's what made you come from the condom blowjob.
Yeah, it was just thinking about Stan. I remember when I invented dental dams. Reed Richards used to use a dental dam on Sue Storm.
We had an alliterative game going. Sue Storm, Johnny, Reed Richards, Peter Parker.
And just think, if Peter Parker had used a dental dam, he wouldn't have broken Gwen Stacy's neck.
I invented a character who was a beautiful lady who had great teeth, and we called her Dental Dame. And she was her superhero was, it's not important. She did a great job, if that means anything to anybody, but her name was Dental Dame.
Her power was pleasing men. When they'd say, smile, boy, she'd say, no problem, and show us her big old gams.
Enough said.
Her gams are her legs.
The final point is our friend David Hines has resumed his
That's
deep
so
dive on
funny.
the Bladtcast.
Don't remind the people
And
that I could
he-
get canceled for something.
And he's finally found the first appearance of Watto.
Which, how does he have these episodes? I thought they were not available.
He downloaded them, so
So
you
he
can.
just saves them forever.
Yeah.
So he's like this episode of Frasier where Frasier's missing an episode because he has everything backed up on tape. He's missing an episode, and a fan has a whole collection of everything.
But here's the thing.
The tape.
So Watto first shows up in episode 127, which
Yeah.
that's the point when we were recording at Premiere.
That's right. That's when I was bringing beers to the studio and I was sliding into my struggle. Yeah.
We should have known at that point, but we didn't because
I did.
Like,
well, I didn't.
We went to see Apocalypse with your now ex-wife.
Yeah.
And we then did the show across the street. Everything seemed fine. What did we know?
I was drinking a lot, so now I know in hindsight.
We just thought it was party drinking, not sad drinking. Anyway, those episodes are available, is my point. The post Dennis Miller show episodes are all out there. So episode 127 is the introduction of Watto, and David used #greatness.
I don't want to go back and I don't know if I want to hear that.
I know I do want to hear it, so I'll have to find.
You have all the OGs, right?
I have the files for all of them. So
I had a hard drive crash recently, which is mostly a work hard drive, but there was some personal stuff on it, and the personal stuff being like original Motivation Report episodes, and I'm like not inclined to have to like back it up, and so I'm like, I guess.
No, but you
You
posted
could
those
run disk
episodes.
recovery on it still, even if it's
I
crashed
could.
and stuff.
No, I could. I sent it to a place. They quoted me $3,000, and I was like, absolutely not.
No, you could get like a program and just run it yourself. It'll take forever, but it can try and sort out some of your data, and you can recover some of it at least.
But it's a read problem. I hear it, not the disk
so like
inside.
the probably the lens or something, part of the arm that moves the lens is broken.
Right.
You know what else was a read problem? Fantastic Four number 45.
I could never come up with a great power for Reed Richards, and I thought, what if my dick was bigger? So I thought, why don't we make him stretchy so he can have a big penis? We should have called him Penis Richards, but I didn't know any better back then. I wanted to call him Dick Richards, but we settled on Reed.
The Comics Code Authority was already on us because of the fact we had a guy called The Thing. On that
big rock dick. Sorry.
On that note, Will Sterling, where do people find you?
At Will Sterling _ on
And
Twitter
not
Instagram.
the Motivation Report anymore, but they can find the finale.
Yeah, just listen to it. Just look on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
All right.
Motivation Report.
It only went up today, I think.
No, yesterday. Honestly, it's like should tell you something. Like I wrote it because I needed to close the chapter, but I wrote it this weekend after like a weird family moment. Like my parents' dog had to be put down. It was like a thing, and I was all about the finality of all certain things. And I wrote this episode, and I recorded it, and I made sure that everything was engineered perfectly, and then I just posted it. And then I honestly the next day I went, oh shit, I should probably promote that I did the last episode, and I totally forgot that I'd even done it. So that's how you knew it was on the way out.
So you thought as little of it as you usually do of the Bladtcast. You just forgot that you did it.
Yes. And I wasn't drunk. Christian's mom. I was sober.
Well, that time. Jeff Duray is on Twitter at DurayJeff_. He is he moving too, or is he going to stay in Van Nuys?
That's a good question. You'll have to ask him.
All right. Do you have a number on him, or?
I think it's 123 Fake Street is the address.
Okay, this sounds good.
123 Fake Street.
Yeah, and his number is 818-555-2422.
Oh, that sounds like a real number. All right. Well, I'll just text him. And at Duray, it's Duray_Jeff. You let me give the wrong information.
Because I don't mind if people don't find me.
Yeah, you have to really want to find him, and that's the point. So you can find me at ChristianDMZ. That's the Twitter. That's the Instagram. I think our next episode, we're going to talk to our friend Jeff Winstead about his comic The Alternate, which I think is now 6 issues deep.
Yep.
And I thought the story ended, but then when I read it, I realized he's setting up like a kind of a new batch of stories.
A
So
sequel. Yeah.
so that'll be fun. We should do that. And as we mentioned earlier, June 1st, we're gonna live tweet Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. I think because Jeff said he didn't want to watch it, I think if I do shave my head, I'm going to do it just during the podcast and we'll just keep talking.
Do it.
I think that's the way
Do
to
it.
do it. Yeah.
Hey, have your kids do it for you.
Oh,
They
that's a
can't
great
fuck
idea.
it up because a shaved head. Just like, you know,
Yeah,
you just
look-
shave the rest
just
of it
like
off.
Will. No.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget
My
to
disembodied
like
hand.
the Bladtcast on Facebook. Follow at Bladtcast, BLADTCAST. And of course, Bladtcast.com for all your Bladtcast needs. Let us know what you've enjoyed, what you haven't, and if I'll ever have a fun background behind me, because every time I try, it always looks really shitty. You know, like literally every time I try, you're not able to see what's happening. I don't know. Will's like moving a whole thing.
My hand is doing all of your mouth movements. Oh, look, you found it.
No,
Oh,
it
you're in
doesn't
San
work.
Francisco. You look
But there's
like you're in
also
a
like
mall
a-
music
Well,
video.
you know what that means. But
You're in San Francisco, but it also says Star Wars behind you, and there's like
Star Wars. The
Yeah,
San
but-
Francisco trilogy.
but these are the real
San
Star Wars. These are the
Francisco.
pre-special editions that I have.
Oh, VHS.
Pre-special, the less special editions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it looks good, but
It looks great. Oh,
Ooh, you got a bar.
it's likely because you have
There's
so
only a little bit of that's gone. Your whole that you selected a background, it's all gone.
yeah, I got rid of it.
Oh, okay.
It's because I have so much junk behind me. I think that's why. You
You had
know?
less junk in your trunk, Christian.
I would never do that. All right, that's the time to go. Thank you to everyone who joined. Well, we weren't live, but anybody who's commenting after the fact, thank you. Anybody who's made it an hour 40 in, we appreciate that too. Thank you to Will Sterling. Thank you to Jeff DeRay, who's not leaving yet. Even when he does, we'll be able to find him. So thanks again, and we will see you next time on the Bladtcast.
Hi, Christian's mom. I hope you're not disappointed in me.
She's a little disappointed in you,
Okay.
but just a little.